Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to our channel, Pakistan Zindabad, the next world superpower.
For generations, war was imagined as a moment, a decisive battle, a breaking point, a final blow. Deterrence meant the threat of overwhelming force, delivered all at once. But the wars of the future will not announce themselves so clearly. In the age of artificial intelligence, drones, cyber operations, and information warfare, conflict no longer arrives as a single shot. It arrives as pressure, constant, ambiguous, and exhausting. This is the attrition revolution, a form of conflict in which victory is not achieved through destruction alone, but through endurance. The ability to absorb disruption, recover faster than an adversary, and deny them strategic gains over time. For Pakistan, this shift creates a profound deterrence dilemma. How do you deter an adversary who does not seek escalation but instead aims to slowly wear you down? Chapter 4 of Resilient Defense. Pakistan and the Next War Doctrine confronts this question directly and explains why resilience itself has become the most powerful signal of strength in the modern era.
And it's written by Mr. Zahir Ahmad Mir. We're going to explore a concept he calls the attrition revolution, a total game changer in how we need to think about modern warfare. It's not about winning flashy battles anymore. It's about something much deeper, exhausting entire national systems. So let's get right into it.
Right, let's start with this quote because it is the absolute heart of the matter. Just let that sink in for a moment. Attrition is no longer about destroying armies. It is about exhausting systems. For literally centuries, the whole point of war was to smash an enemy's army on the battlefield. You win there, you win the war. But that's not the world we live in anymore. Today, the real target, the real goal, is to break a nation's entire system. We're talking its economy, its power grid, its infrastructure, and maybe most importantly, its people's will to keep going. This isn't just a small change, this is a fundamental rewriting of the rules of conflict.
So the big question is, how did we get here? How do we get to this new reality? Well, we are fundamentally moving away from that classic, historical idea of a single, massive, decisive battle that decides everything, like in the movies. Instead, we're entering a totally new age of conflict, one that's defined by something far more draining, far more relentless, constant, grinding, sustained pressure. And this really shows you that shift perfectly. On one side, you've got the old way of doing things, old warfare. The goal was simple: hit the enemy with one massive, knockout punch. Think of it like a giant cannonball trying to shatter a castle wall in one go. But look at the other side, new warfare. It's not a cannonball. It's more like a slow, steady, relentless drip of water on stone. The goal isn't a sudden, dramatic collapse. No, the goal is to methodically and patiently erode the enemy's entire system, bit by bit, over a very long time.
This massive change, this whole new way of thinking, is what the author calls the attrition revolution. And it's a concept that completely rewrites the playbook for modern conflict. So what does that actually mean for a country's defense? And why is it so absolutely critical to understand today? Let's really break this down.
So at its very core, the attrition revolution means that war has become a battle of endurance. It's a marathon, not a sprint. It's not about who can win that one big fight anymore. Now, victory goes to the side that can continuously inflict costs, create disruptions, and just generally wear down the enemy's entire system, their military, their economy, their society, and keep doing it for longer than the other side can possibly handle.
And the economics behind this are just fascinating and, frankly, a little scary.
Think about it like this. New systems, like swarms of drones or sophisticated cyber weapons, are relatively cheap. You can produce them quickly, and they're considered expendable. You can lose a few, it's no big deal. But these cheap, expendable tools can be used to relentlessly harass, damage, or even destroy traditional, high-value assets. We're talking about things like a multi-billion-dollar aircraft carrier or a fleet of advanced tanks. Things that are incredibly expensive and take years to build or replace. This creates a massive, almost unfair economic mismatch on the modern battlefield.
This all leads to a really complicated and tricky question. See, this attrition revolution, it thrives in this murky, undefined space where war isn't officially declared. So how do you fight back against an adversary who is constantly hurting you, constantly putting you under pressure, but never actually crosses that clear line into open, declared warfare?
And that brings us to this idea of the gray zone. This is that frustrating space of perpetual conflict that operates just below the threshold of declared war. In this zone, an adversary can use things like cyber attacks, electronic warfare, propaganda, and disinformation to just wear you down day after day without ever firing a single shot. It creates this constant fog of ambiguity. You're never quite sure of their intent, which makes it incredibly difficult to decide how or even if you should retaliate. Now, here's a twist. This new environment of constant pressure actually exposes a surprising weakness in traditional military thinking. And that weakness is the pursuit of perfection. The idea of creating a flawless, impenetrable, perfect defense system. It sounds like the ultimate goal, right? But in this new reality, that kind of thinking can be dangerously fragile.
And here's exactly how that perfect system can completely fall apart. In a world of constant, low-level gray zone pressure, small disruptions are not a possibility. They're an inevitability. Something will always go wrong. Over time, those little failures start to add up. They accumulate. The pressure just keeps compounding day in and day out, turning what you thought was a super strong defense into a single fragile point of failure. And when that one point finally breaks under all that pressure, the entire system collapses.
Okay, so if striving for perfection is the wrong goal, if it's actually a trap, then what's the alternative? Well, the book doesn't just leave us with the problem. It proposes a solution, a new doctrine called resilient defense. This is where we pivot from understanding the problem of attrition to outlining a powerful strategy designed specifically for this new age of warfare.
So what exactly do we mean by resilience in this context? It is absolutely not about building an unbreakable wall that can never be breached. Instead, it's about designing a system that can take a punch, absorb the damage, and, this is the most important part, recover and get back on its feet faster than the enemy can keep attacking. The goal isn't to be unbreakable. The goal is to bend, not break, and to bounce back stronger.
So what does this look like in the real world? In practice, it looks like a layered defense. Instead of putting all your eggs in one basket and relying on one perfect system, you distribute the risk across many different layers. So, for example, defending against a drone swarm isn't just about having one superweapon. No, it's about having layers. Early warning detection systems, electronic jamming to disrupt their communications, kinetic weapons like guns or missiles, and, crucially, rapid repair capabilities to fix any damage they cause. No single layer has to be perfect, because they all work together to absorb the pressure.
Now, this kind of shift has absolutely profound implications. It forces us to completely redefine what strength even means in the 21st century. It suggests that real deterrence, true strength, is no longer just about how hard you can hit back. It's about proving, beyond a shadow of a doubt, how long you can endure.
This chart really shows how the whole idea of deterrence is being turned on its head. That old model, you see it on the left, the threat of massive retaliation, attack us and we'll wipe you off the map, that's actually becoming less important, less of a factor. So what's taking its place? Look at the other two bars. What's becoming more and more critical is a nation's ability to demonstrate its endurance and its capacity for rapid recovery. In this new era, your resilience is your deterrent.
And the book makes a very important point here. In strategically sensitive and compressed regions like South Asia, the stakes are so much higher. The geography is tight, the political dynamics are incredibly complex. Here, even a small gray zone action, something that might seem minor elsewhere, could be dangerously misinterpreted and risk spiraling out of control into a much larger, devastating conflict. There's just no room for error.
So let's bring all of these threads together. What does this all mean for the future? The strategic path forward, as proposed in the book, hinges on one fundamental shift in philosophy, moving away from a strategy of punishment and toward a strategy of denial.
This slide really gets to the very heart of the entire argument. The old model of deterrence, deterrence by punishment, was basically a threat. It said, don't you dare attack us because we will hit you back so hard you'll regret it. But the new model, deterrence by denial, it sends a completely different and frankly more powerful message. It says, go ahead, attack us if you want. Your efforts will be absorbed, we will recover, your plans will fail, and you will achieve absolutely nothing. It's a strategy designed to make aggression seem completely futile from the very start.
So based on this new reality, the book lays out some very clear priorities. National security is no longer just about protecting tanks and jets. It's about protecting critical national functions, the power grid, the water supply, communication networks. It means designing military forces not just for fighting, but for sustainment and recovery. It means investing just as much in repair capabilities as you do in new weapons. And it means recognizing that the social and economic fabric of the entire nation is now a core component of its defense.
And so, we'll end with this question for you to think about. As the very nature of conflict shifts away from short, decisive clashes and toward a state of endless, grinding, relentless pressure, is it possible that the most powerful weapon a nation can possess is simply its will and its capacity to endure?
And that's our deep dive into the attrition revolution from Mr. Zahir Ahmed Mir's book, Resilient Defense. If you found this breakdown helpful for understanding this incredibly complex and important topic, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more updates. Thank you for joining us.